This is another session which is proceeding what we have said about budget and budgetary from the responsibility center. Now we are looking at another critical area in budgeting. So this area must be focused very well. These are the actually characteristics of budget. What are the critical characteristics of budget? Number one, participation. Involves many people as possible in drawing up a budget. You must involve as many people as possible. So participation is critical. Let all members of your company, from finance to marketing to human resource, all departments represented. So everybody must participate. Number two, comprehensiveness. Embrace all organization. Number three, standards. Base it on established standards of performance. Let your budget be based on established standard benchmark, which is good. Flexibility. Allow for changing circumstances. You must allow changes in circumstances. Feedbacks. Constant monitor performance. For you to get the feedback, you must do the monitoring. So constantly monitor the performance. Analysis of cost and revenue. This can be done on the basis of product lines, department, or cost centers. So you need to actually do analysis of cost and revenue so that you can strike the best budget. So these are the critical features of or characteristics of a good budgetary control or a good budget. So participation is critical, comprehensiveness is critical, standards are critical, flexibility is a requirement, feedback is a requirement, analysis of cost and revenue is required. Administration. So organizing and administration. So we are looking at the organization and administration of your budget. How do you do about budget centers? So we must have, number one, when you talk about administration, how is the budget operated? So number one, you need to have a budget center, a unit responsible for the preparation of budget. A budget center may encompass several cost centers. Remember, we have talked about centers. We have revenue center, we have expense center, we have a profitability center, we have investment center. So these centers must be involved. Number two, budgetary committee. This may consist of senior members of the organization, departmental heads and executives, with the managing director as a chairman. So the managing director becomes the chair of budgeting committee. Now, the representative of each and every department must be a member of budgetary committee. The human resource, the marketing, the finance, the production. So these are people who must be avail themselves for the budgetary committee. So a representative must be picked from each and every department. Now, what are the functions of budgetary committee? One function is coordination of budget preparation. These are people who are mandated in coordinating the operation or preparation of the budget. Number two, these are people who are mandated to prepare the time schedule for the preparation of a budget. These are the people who provide information for the preparation of a budget. We need information which is critical in the preparation of a budget. These are people who are mandated to do the comparison of a budget, providing the variance, the difference between the previous and the current, and projecting what will happen in the future budgeting procedures. So budgeting committee is a critical component in the administration of budgets. Budget officers control budget administration. The job involves one, liaising between the budget committee and managers responsible for budget preparation. So the budget officer will link between the managers and the budgeting committee. Dealing with budget control problems. So all problems which arise during budgetary control, these are people who have been mandated to bring in the corrective measures, ensuring that deadlines are met. So it is their responsibility to make sure that deadlines have been made. Educating people about budgetary control. They teach people on the values, the importance of budgetary control. So budget officers are critical people in budgeting. And then budget manual, the last tool of administration. This document is critical. What is in the budget manual? Charts the organization, what is all about the organization, details the budget procedures, what are the procedures which are supposed to be followed in the preparation of the budget, in the presentation of the budget, when is the budget supposed to be presented, contains account codes for items of expenditure and revenue. So it must have a code. A number must be given to each and every item in expenditure and revenue. Timetable the processes. So we need to have a timetable for the process, and then clearly defines the responsibility of a person involved in budget system. So these are critical organization and administration of budget control. We have budget center, we have budget committee, we have budget officers, and then we have budget manual. So all these bring forth a critical component of budgeting. Processes. What are the processes of preparing a budget? Number one, determine the principal budget factor. In other words, generate the principal budget factor. This also known as the key budget factor or limiting budget factors, and is the factor which will limit the activities of undertaking the budget. Now, which are these limiting factors? So the factors to be considered include the following. Number one, cell budget. So in our budget, we have the section of cell budget. So in the cell budget, production budget, we have purchase budget, we have labor budget, we have cash budget. So these are the factors to be factored in the operation of a budget. So factors to be factored. Number one, cell budget. Methods of forecasting include, so when you talk about sale budget, this is actually a budget which shows how sales will be made, forecasting the operation of the sales. So which are these sales operation of a budget? Sales force opinion, what are the opinion? Market research, statistic method, correlation analysis, and examination of trend. So we need to have a statistic on how the business is behaving in terms of sales. Mathematical models. So mathematical models which are critical in optimizing sales. In using this technique, consider one, company principal policies. You need to have this in mind. What are the company principal pricing policies? General economic and political conditions. Change in the population. Competition. Consumer income and taste. Advertising and other sale promotion techniques, after sales service, credit terms offered. So when you're preparing a sales budget, these are factors to be considered. Without this, a sales budget cannot be realistic. So production budget. What is in the production budget? Expressed in quantitative terms only and is geared towards the sales budget. So production budget is geared towards sales budget. The production manager duties include one, analysis of plant utilization, work in progress budget. If requirement exceeds capacity, then he may subcontract, plan for overtime, introduce shift work, hire or buy additional machine, the material purchase budget, both quantitative and financial. So this is very important. So production budget, when you bring in the production budget, have this in mind. What is supposed to be the production budget? Factors to be factored in again in raw material purchase budget. We have what? Methods of sales forecast include, of budgets include, the raw material usage budget is in quantities. The material purchase budget is both quantitative and financial. Factors influence A and B include production required, planning stock level, storage spare, trend of raw materials, of prices, labor budget. This is the workforce which is required in the operation of the business. The budget is both quantitative and financial. This influenced by 1. Production requirement, how much is required in terms of unit production, man-hour available, grades of labor requirement, wage rates, union agreement, the need for incentives. So this is what is supposed to be factored in the labor budget.